Hi everyone, this is Jan, and I'm going to do a little rose painting here, and I've already started it, and the background that you see behind the foliage on here, it's done in a watercolor effect, and I just used a big brush, whatever you have, and you wet it. And the first thing that I did was I went ahead and wet my canvas all around the roses. And then while it was wet, I let it soak in a little bit. And while it was wet, then I started adding some green colors here. These are all colors I'm using from a kit. And I just wanted to use them up. And I have mixtures of different greens, variations of greens in this palette here. And what I did was I just took a bunch of these greens and put out in a few turquoise colors. And I went ahead and put them on my palette, just little bits of it. Not a whole lot, because you're pulling out the color and then you're mixing, dipping in your water. This cap here has some water in it, and then you load your brush on it, and I just blot it once on a paper towel, and I come in here and I do the background. So I have turquoises and I have a little bit of the dark greens. Now once I have that done, I set this brush aside, and then we come in and we use a filbert brush here. This is probably a number 6 or a number 8. And I start doing watercolor type foliage here. And I do the same thing. I pull out color, whatever color I'm going to use. I dip in my water like that. And I get it nice and watery. And if I have too much, I test it first. I come over here. And that's a little bit darker than what I want, so I add more water to it, and I just do layers. I start out light, and then I can come back and I can go ahead and add more layers. Now I would like to see some turquoise, maybe some turquoise leaves or something in here, so I might come in and just put in some of these little turquoise leaves and just do a little wash, because I will come in later and I will do a thicker paint on here. This just kind of lets me know what colors I'm going to be using here and there, and I just lay them out in a wash. Pick up a little bit more and just kind of decide where I want these. I've got leaves down here. Now what you can do for your pattern is just go ahead and look on Google or whatever and find some roses that you like and sketch out some roses. And the pattern I did was this one right here. See, it's just on tracing paper right now, and that's all you need. It's just the outline, and I put it on with graphite paper. Now if you use pencil, the only thing with pencils, it will smear as you're starting to do and paint your design, especially when you're using water with it. So what you want to do is use the graphite paper so that it won't smear and smudge with you. But go ahead and come in and start adding a little bit of color next to your leaves. And you go ahead and paint your foliage on here. And just do it real light. Now see if you get it too much of a color on there. Just come back, load with a little water, and go back over it and soften that out. But it's a great way to get your color in first. Just block it in a little bit so that you kind of know where you're going here, what you want in your colors. And then last, I'll go ahead and do the leaves. So I'm actually just building layers of color on here for my leaves and my background foliage. Now when you're doing some of this foliage back here, turn your brush sideways. Let me get a little more water on here. Turn your brush sideways and it will make a really nice leaf effect. See here? And just walk it right on down. I have plenty of videos on how to do this foliage. It's easy to do. It's fun to do once you get the hang of it. And you can just add this to all around your roses and stuff, and it adds interest. Instead of having just roses like they're pasted on the canvas, you go ahead and add foliage back here, and it looks like a painting then. You know, like you spend a lot of time doing your background foliage, and adds more interest. That way it doesn't look like it's just pasted on there with some flowers and roses and stuff. You have something in the background. And make sure you leave little areas over here so that everything isn't brought all the way out to the edge, but you have some edges in here. Okay, now once you do that, then you have to completely let your canvas dry before you come back in and start doing some of your leaves. Next, that's what I will do. I will come back and do my little heart-shaped leaves, and we will do those in an overstroke. We'll paint them in with different colors, and then we'll come back with an overstroke, and they'll be a lot more prominent on here. But first, get what you got on here and let that dry, and then when I come back, I'll have these leaves and I'll show you how to do those. Okay, see you in a few. Now, as far as the leaves go, the only thing I added was a little bit of lavender. I have a couple of colors of lavender here, a light and kind of a medium color lavender. And then I went up here and added a little bit of the turquoise colors. And I first added and deepened some of the green color so that I would know where my leaves are, because I couldn't really see them with the foliage over the top of them. So I came back, darkened these leaves, put some more green in it, and put a little bit of turquoise. Again, this is loose colors. I excuse me, went down to a 6 brush flat, and then after I did that, then I came back with some lavenders and more of the turquoise colors. Now again, whenever I came back with these lavenders, I loaded my brush up and load both sides of it up. Again, we have a light wash, and what I did was I came back and I used an overstroke, which I touched to the outside. Remember, this leaf had color on it already. And then I came back with the overstroke and just added some lavender to the outside outline, and then just pulled it into the leaf. So it's thin, it's not real thick, and I just pulled it right on in, just touch and pull down on an overstroke. I use this for a lot of the leaves. I have other videos on that too. But I keep my paint watery. You can see how it's pulled out here. Now if it gets too watery, just blot your brush on a paper towel and then just come back and do your leaves. And I like to do my leaves to where they're different lengths on the edge here. And these up here, I did go over on these. You can see how thin it is out there. Went past what I had on there. And I'll come back, and I'll still come back and highlight some of this. I'm just doing it in soft layers right now. And I'll get it as deep or as light as I want. What I wanted right now was just to know where they were. And once I get the roses on, I will come back and I will add some other color into these leaves. I want some colors that I have in my roses on my leaves. That's why I haven't really went to doing the leaves exactly like I want, because I want all of these colors to intermingle with each other so that my roses are going to be in pinks. Well, I want some pinks intermingled in my leaves also. So I have my colors on here. They're mostly in the turquoise, the lavenders, and the greens, and I have a dark green and a light green on there. And then when I do the roses and have the pinks on there, I'm going to have kind of like a cranberry rose, which would be a darker pink, and then two lighter pink roses. So I want that, and I will intermingle some of that light color, again, probably in a watercolor wash, and put that in the leaves. So that's all I'm going to do on the leaves right now. Just date them on there so that you know where they are. And I will go ahead and start these roses and come back and finish out what I want to do on the leaves. All right, see you in a few. Okay, everyone, I went ahead and finished this little painting up. And I went ahead and did the leaves on this. And before I started the roses, I went ahead and added a light glaze over the leaves because to me it felt like the green was way too bright on it. So I just added a little bit of white to some water once this was completely dry. And then I went ahead and glazed over the whole background. And you can see a little bit right here where I went around different things. I might have had this rose already done. I can't remember. It's been a while since I got back to this. But anyway, I did a light glaze over the leaves, and that toned it down a lot, and it toned down my background, so it was a lot softer. And then I went ahead and did the reddish leaf. It could be called a coral, I guess. Anyway, I did that rose there, and then I moved over here and I did this pink rose, excuse me, over here. And I just now finished up doing the middle rose. And I wanted to try doing this middle rose with some open acrylics. Rather than using just the regular folk art or any type of acrylic that you were using on this, I wanted to do the open acrylics because I wanted it to stay wet longer. Okay, and that allows me to go ahead. I'm trying to get this out here. Anyway, I used the open acrylics, and it allows me to keep my acrylics open for about 20 minutes before it starts drying. And so I'm going to lift this up and tilt it, and if you can see that shine I have on it, that shine means that these acrylics are still a little bit wet. I did some work on the leaves. I added highlights so you can see a little bit of shine there. And on the little buds there, you can see a shine on the buds. Those were added later on too. And a lot of times if I've worked on a painting and I don't get back to it for a couple of weeks or something, I will go ahead and use open acrylics on the top of what I already have. That way I'm working wet on wet, and they're not going to dry, and I'm not going to get a dry blend. I'm actually going to get a wet blend. So I went ahead and did this one in the open acrylics, and I also wet the leaves with an open This is an open thinner. And it's really not a thinner. It's more like a blending gel because it retards. It's a slow dry retarder. And so I used a little bit of this and I went ahead and put it over my dry leaves until I had a shiny area. But you don't want it so thick, it's going to run when you put your paint over the top of it. And then what I could do is come over and do a light brushing of colors, like the lavenders you see in here was done that way. And I have some light greens down here, some turquoise. The buds were done wet on wet along with the rose. And the rest of this was done with just regular acrylics and just painting fast. So that's kind of how I finished this off. And you can also do that when you're doing acrylics. You can use your regular acrylics, and then you can use an open acrylic if you want to keep it wet. Otherwise, if you're going to use your folk art acrylics on it, you just use some blending gel. Let's say this is dry right here, and you wanted to redo this little petal here, then you'll just put a light coat of that blending gel right on the top there, and then you'd come over and put your highlights on it. It'd be the same thing as doing the purples over here on the dry leaves. So that, and do your rose any way you want to. You can do your one-stroke roses, you can do your overstroke roses, you can do ruffle roses. I didn't show you how to do the roses because I have a lot of videos on how to do these roses, so I wasn't showing you anything new on that. So do your roses like you want to, and then go ahead and lay out your leaves and everything just like I had on the video. You can go ahead and finish this out. If you want this to be a Christmas painting, do all your roses in the red tones. And this is probably Cad Red Light on this. And then, of course, I don't use a white on it because it turned it pink with red. You would use oranges as your highlight color on that. So I do have all my open acrylics in the little double loader. And I keep some of the press and seal on this. And that way I can keep these wet for about a month before I have to maybe change them out. I just don't like cleaning this with just the plain without the seal, press and seal on it. This way I just peel it off, throw it away, put another one on, and go from there. That way I don't have to let it soak whenever I'm doing it. So that's how I keep my open acrylics. And like I say, they'll last me about a month. Now when I want to blend, then I just go ahead and pick up a little bit of paint on my brush and bring it over here. And I just use a large styrofoam plate to go ahead and blend out my colors how I want them. And if I need a little instead of floating medium, I would use some of that slow dry open acrylic like I just showed you. Otherwise, if you're using the folk art brand, you're going to use that blending gel. Okay, you're not going to use the floating medium because the floating medium will dry as fast as the acrylics dry. So in that case, you would want to use the blending gel. I need a new deal because you can hardly read it. But this extends the blending time on your folk art paints. And there's other retarders you can get, and I've talked about this. I got this bottle the other day, and I want to try it. This is a liquid retarder medium, and there were good reviews on it. And so you can use different ones. It's supposed to work with any kind of brand of acrylics you have. But anyway, that's how I like to work with my acrylics. If you don't want to use any of that stuff, then stay with your folk art and your floating medium or blending gel blending with it, and it will do whatever you need it to do. You'll just have to paint a little faster because it won't retard the drying time as much as some of these other acrylics that I use here. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, I'll see you then. Have a good holiday. Bye for now.